Hey everyone, thank you for joining the August community call. A lot has been going on at Hummingbot over the past month. We've made a lot of progress, both in this release and on other aspects. So I'm really happy to present all the changes that we've been adding to the code base in the last release. So we're going to go through the version 1.19.0 release highlights. And talk about all the cool stuff we added in that release. And then we're going to talk about a bit of some changes we made to our training program Botcamp that will hopefully kind of reignite the audience and make people more excited about what Botcamp is about. And finally, I want to cover a few demo events that we have scheduled to demo the new application layer for Hummingbot called Dashboard over the next 1 month. Well, all right, let's get started. So first, let's talk about the version 1.19 release and what was new in that release. You may notice that the website is new because we've merged both the Hummingbot website, the documentation site, and the blog onto one single documentation site. And the advantage is that now everything is searchable. So if you look up words like liquidity mining, for example, you'll see kind of not only the documentation for the strategy, but also some guides and blog posts, everything that we have in the past about these topics. We hope that it'll make it easier for people to find information related to Hummingbot in the future. And we plan on kind of making this documentation site even more more robust and more searchable, and try to add more guides in the next few months. So moving on to the actual release itself, so you can install Hummingbot or Gateway via GitHub or Docker Hub as always. So our recommended path right now is this kind of like this deploy examples repo where you can basically just use Docker Compose to launch the new version. This is actually something that I'm trying to improve in the future as well. If there's an easier way that you think you found to start Hummingbot, let us know because I think we want to offer people like kind of basically different ways to more easily launch Hummingbot, update it, and make sure that they can continue doing what they were doing before. So one new thing in this release is that we've added a start command. This is for users who are installing from source. And before, users had to run a bin/hummingbot command to start it. And now we've added a start command that wraps that and adds like some error handling there, so that if any errors pop up, they get logged instead of disrupting the user experience. I did want to spend a bit more time and talk about the new V2 strategy framework. This is essentially what we're calling what Fede presented in the last how-to call from a couple weeks ago, where he demoed the first kind of how this framework works. So we've added more documentation about this in this release. The way that generally works, I'll kind of give a brief description today, is that it's designed to allow you to create strategies by adding various components. The first versions of our strategies, like these V1 strategies, these were basically, each one was like a monolithic program that exposed a set of parameters. But if you actually want to make modifications to this one or this one, you basically had to create a whole new program from scratch. Instead, what we've done with V2 is we've created these different components that are doing different things. So, for example, we've already added the candles feed, which components are designed to take exchange data, construct OH-LCD candles, and then allow users to generate custom indicators based on those signals. So because candles can be used in lots of different places in lots of different strategies, decided to build more components like that. So the next type of component that we built is called a controller. And so the controller is going to be like the main entry point for this V2 strategy framework. And the idea is the controller is kind of like it's like the air traffic controller that is kind of trying to be the command center for our strategy. So it would fetch data from candles, figure out what indicators it should look for. It may also connect to other data feeds as well. But overall, the role of a controller is to compute those signals and decide what the executors should then do. The executors are kind of like similar to the positions executor and the arbitrage executors we've created before. They're self-encapsulated pieces of logic that will execute a series of actions. So for example, if you have a position, you can use the triple barrier executor to essentially define how that position either takes losses or takes profits, set loss, stop loss, or whatever. So essentially you define these like boundaries for the position executor, and then when it's launched, it will manage itself. So going back to V2 strategies, the overall idea here is that you can create more sophisticated strategies by mixing and matching these different components. To make this simpler for users, we are going to create some initial templates for strategy types. In particular, initially both directional strategies as well as market making strategies. And so that the users, when you're using this, you can basically use a market making controller that's paired with a market making executors, and then use candles as well. So, and we'll have like kind of like, you know, some demo scripts that you can modify and use. So the first version of this is the composable market making strategies demo that Fede did. So I think if you wanted to just like dive into more detail right now, I would review this video and also check out the pull request where we're doing active work on this. A few things to note is that in order to make this work, we are also adding Hummingbot as a library in PyPy right now. We'll have to kind of build different wheels for different operating systems for that to work. But basically hopefully in a few weeks, you should also be able to just do pip install Hummingbot and just use Hummingbot as a standalone library or do other things like that in addition to this. But we've kind of realized that having Hummingbot as a library should make it a lot easier to incorporate this into the dashboard so that people can not just create these strategies using dashboard, but also backtest them more easily. That's probably the most important thing I should mention, which is the reason that we have created this framework is to allow strategies to be backtestable. Because what we're really doing here is we're separating signal generation, when something should happen, from what that thing does, which is the executor. So that's the idea of the controller versus the executor. The reason for doing that is because that makes it much easier to take a strategy and backtest using historical data, because you can just look for when that signal might have occurred in the past, and then you can apply the same executor logic on top of that. And the vectorized operational magic that Fede has put in, this should actually be quite fast compared to kind of traditional approaches to backtesting. So I don't want to overpromise. I will do a demo tomorrow at the Stanford Blockchain side event that we're hosting at Harmony Protocol's office. We will publish recording afterwards. So hopefully once that's outlined, the folks in this audience will have a better idea of how it works. In addition to the V2 strategy framework, we've also added, we've started adding these features to dashboard that will set the stage for doing this. So if you try to check out dashboard right now, now there's a section where you can add a set of master bot credentials, and then once you create new bots, you can kind of like copy those credentials into it, and that will allow you to eventually have like different sets of master credentials for maybe different exchanges, and then different team members can only access various sets of credentials. So thanks to Droopman and Fede, they've made a lot of progress on the backtest manager section. This is a section that's going to plug into the V2 strategy framework, allow you to create and backtest different strategies. This part is still work in progress, but you can already start seeing kind of how we're connecting to the Optuna optimization framework, how we're kind of like automating the process of creating different trials and those kind of things. So yeah, if you want to check out this video that kind of explains how to deploy a dashboard using SSH on your local machine and SSHing into this external dashboard is probably the easiest way to control bots on a server. So we're going to try to make that process even easier, hopefully in the next few months. A couple of new script examples in this release. So the fixed grids, this actually used to be a strategy that our community member James P. Magic created. Now he has implemented that as a script, which is over here. And the script should actually be easier for people to modify as well. This strategy is basically doing something very similar to what a grid strategy would do on Binance or on KuCoin. I should also note that we think that this grid strategy may also be a suitable one for the V2 strategy framework. So there are some similarities between this strategy and the current kind of market maker framework that we're working on right now. But in the future, we also might create a dedicated, like a V2 grid strategy as well. So this is one that I created because there's a Botcamp member who wanted to hedge something that was like a wallet on the blockchain side that was changing. Create an example where you can add a wallet as a data feed, and based on the token balances on how that's changing, you can automate kind of basically trades that happen on a different central exchange. So I added a couple features. That's a very simple strategy, but there's a couple of nuances, which is like you only want to hedge maybe after a certain amount has changed. So I added some custom status here. But overall, I added this because it's an example of, I think, how you can just use Hummingbot as a utility hedging tool. And for a lot of people who have, especially on the decentralized exchange side, who have exposure to different wallets, I think this is actually a good use case for those of you who want to hedge. Similarly, and then we have another script example. This is basically using the arbitrage executor in the V2 strategy framework. And so this script actually probably should give you an idea of the power of the V2 strategy framework, because unlike the old arbitrage strategy, where you basically, when that pair dislocates, then buy and sell here, this approach is a lot more composable. So it separates the generation of when you create an arbitrage executor from what you're creating. So you can create multiple executors and say, this example where you're basically just doing this on this one pair. But I think if you kind of look at this code, you can see how you can create more examples of this, and so this is also something that we're going to expand on in the future with the V2 strategy framework. And then finally, I should call out some new connectors in this release. Thanks to this standard proposal, we've added support for Tezos on the gateway side, as well as one of the main DEXs on Tezos, which is Plenty. Thank you to the community team that added this pull request. I reviewed them, and I was really impressed with the quality of the code. So thank you, and we look forward to users who are trying out this connector. Hopefully there's some good arbitrage opportunities between Plenty and other exchanges in our code. We've added new connectors for Injective. We have a lot of former alumni at Injective, so thank you, Abel and Nico, for working on this. This is actually, in my opinion, the right way to integrate with Injective, because Injective has a native Python SDK. So there isn't really a need to kind of use Gateway to to add more intermediaries into the process, if you can just integrate directly into Injective's Python SDK and offer users ability to trade directly from the Hummingbot client. So that's basically what this proposal did. It's now integrated into the code base. So now we actually have both the Injective, the normal Injective connector, as well as the Gateway connector. But if users kind of have a good experience using this one, we will likely remove the Injective Gateway connectors in the future. Next, let's talk about some changes to Botcamp that we're implementing. And so Botcamp, just as a recap, has been our training program. So we've had about 120 students go through the program over the past probably 9 months. Overall, I think it's been like a 6-week really intensive course. But some of the feedback we've gotten from people is that the course has been great, but they just found it overwhelming. It was like too much coding, too much kind of like, and you really had to have a pretty experienced level of Python to be able to do what we wanted you to do, which was to create your own custom trading strategy in that 6 weeks period and demo at demo day. But so I was looking back, I'm actually pretty amazed how many people were able to successfully do that within the 6 week period. So we probably had at least 20 or 30 of the sample scripts in our code base right now were added by Botcamp members. But for us, like, we think there's a lot of potential, and we think there's a lot of demand out there to learn algo trading. But we also want to make Botcamp easier for those of you with full-time jobs to participate while doing your day jobs. So, and we think Botcamp, we can serve a lot more people than we have right now. Because the more people who are participating in live sessions, the more people who are in our community, that just expands the value of the program. So basically, the goals are basically to expand the number of people, optimize for the users who have full-time jobs, so they can spend a few hours a week on Botcamp, nights and weekends, but they don't need to be fully dedicated for a 6 week period. We're also going to focus on using the V2 framework because the V2 framework and with Dashboard, we think it allows non-technical people to build and deploy and backtest really sophisticated trading strategies now. So Hummingbot is not just a tool just to execute bots, but you can also use it to actually build your own strategies, fine-tune them, take data and train them and test them. And it's really much more of a platform than just a tool. So we think that Botcamp is a chance for those of you who really want to dive into Hummingbot and really learn. We will focus our time and effort on teaching people how to use V2 with Botcamp. And then finally, because of the capabilities of Botcamp or Dashboard to like ingest historical data, split that into kind of various chunks, basically train on the training set, and then test on the test set, and then deploy that and fine tune. This is really getting to the same territory that data scientists and AI researchers do every single day. And the good news is this is actually an area where Fade and I have a good amount of experience because we're both, industrial engineers and optimization people. So I think this is actually very much in our wheelhouse. And also we're quite excited about kind of expanding that set of capabilities for Hummingbot. Because if you think about kind of like what it takes to compete on a level playing field with the quant hedge funds of the world, you need that kind of access to data as well as the ability to run simulations, implement backtesting and all those things. So now I think Hummingbot is very much capable of that. So we're excited about teaching that in Botcamp. So the big changes is we're going to make it a monthly program now. So every month, the cadence will be the first week will be a live session where we teach a new strategy or some new practice or something you can do that we want users to try out. And then during that month, we will support people on Discord, show them how to do it. And then they'll set up that month for the last week, which will be a 1 week kind of bot battle. So this is basically a trading competition where each of us run bots. We see how they perform. And in terms of pricing, we're basically going to try to take a very similar pricing to what we had before, but just convert that to a monthly. So instead of like I think it was before it was like $17.50 a year. So now it's basically $200 a month. In addition, you can enroll directly on our website, on the Botcamp website like this, or you can use GitHub sponsors. So GitHub sponsors is something that we just started to roll out, but because a lot of people do find us through GitHub, we've added tiers for Botcamp, where you can sign up for Botcamp at the same pricing that exists on our website. Also added a few other tiers that are aimed at kind of like people who are just who want a badge on your GitHub profile. You can get that for $2 a month. We're also going to add a support premium Discord channel. So the idea here is that a lot of users have questions about installation. how do you get this thing set up, especially like gateway, in various configurations, deploy examples. But so a lot of that, our team can actually and have been like doing some dedicated one-on-one hand-holding with users to get them, to answer installation and troubleshooting questions. But I would say I think it's hard for us to offer that to everyone. So going forward, we're going to create a new channel called Support Premium, and that's where if you want like specialized help, and this is not really with strategies or connectors or those things. This is really with installation. If you can kind of like go in that channel, and people on our team will basically create a thread, even jump on like a call with you to help you get set up. Finally, a couple of the tiers. So there is I want to call out. We added a $500 one-time connector and strategy consultation tier. So this is basically a 1 hour call with me and or Fede, and we'll try to help you with something, strategy design, kind of architecture, intros to developers, and really anything you want. But this is also something we've been kind of offering basically for free to a lot of people in the past. But I think we should try to really offer that to the folks who are gonna compensate the foundation and help us support creating a sustainable open source project. Okay, so those are the main updates on the Botcamp side. And so finally, if you have any questions on this or anything else, let us know. But also, I should mention, this is not just for new people. Everyone who is an existing member of Botcamp who paid for it in the past is grandfathered in. Hopefully this will make it better, not just for the new people who are signing up, but also for everyone who took a chance on Botcamp. The first month we're going to do this will be October. So we'll publish a schedule shortly, but basically the first week of October, we're going to do like the full intro to the V2 strategy framework. The last week of October will be the first like bot battle, so to speak, and then we'll try to repeat that for November, December by and in the future we'll try to hopefully we can do like a strategy type every month, at least for the first few months, to try to get people to see what's possible with the V2 framework. Okay, so last topic for today, I want to talk about the dashboard demo events. This is actually because we did a snapshot proposal, asked the community to allow us to use some of the HBot tokens for dashboard demo, and so that was approved. So we have essentially 3 million HBot tokens to spend. FYI, I would say for those of you who are HBot owners, those tokens will not be hitting the open market. Instead, some of those will be owned by Coin Alpha. We'll kind of give them this compensation for the token sponsorship, and the others the foundation will keep, but we'll spend kind of our own capital to host the events. So it's really about kind of like having, in my opinion, like a permission from the community to spend some of that on marketing as opposed to dev bounties. Here are the events we've set up for dashboard. The first one is tomorrow. Put the Luma event in the chat in case any of you are in the Bay Area and want to attend. But basically, we're going to give a demo for Stanford Blockchain Conference. So we already have about 30 people who signed up. I'm actually going to go to the conference later today, so hopefully a few more folks will sign up. And we're basically going to give a demo of the current state of dashboard. So I'll walk through how you can use it to create and deploy various types of bots and monitor them in dashboard. And then I'll try to also give a preview of the backtest manager and how you can backtest a directional trading strategy. After that, we will be doing a few more other events. So one is, actually I should mention, we're going to sponsor the Token 2049 conference, which is September 13th and 14th. So we'll have a booth alongside Coin Alpha at Token 2049. And so if you guys are in Singapore, please reach out to me or Fede, and we'll try to meet up in person. So I mean, for us, like I would say, we're a pretty small team. So the overall goal for us is really meet our users. And so if you're there, let us know. And then in Bali, so we're gonna do a Hummingbot Hacker House in Bali from September 16th to the 20th. There actually might be a few I'm not sure if we have open rooms, but I think we might. I think we actually might have one or two. So let us know if you're interested in attending, coming to Bali, or just coming to hang out. I think we're gonna try to. We'll probably do the first version of the bot battle. We'll probably do some type of like trading competition, just for like a 2 or 3 day period, and try to do a beta of kind of like the bot competition that we plan on doing every month for Botcamp. So the overall idea here is that we would just just set a time period, like a 48-hour period. People would just run bots, with some strategy that they built, and then afterwards we would just collect the CSV files or SQLite databases and try to analyze that and try to basically see how everyone did. So that's a general idea, but overall the way I think about it is it's really because like the reality is that there's a lot of luck involved, in running bots, but I do think that there I see it as like if we can actually sharing the performance with one another will help us all learn how to run bots better. So that's the overall genesis of it, and we're hopeful that this hacker house can set the stage for future Hummingbot hacker houses in other places in the world, like Mar del Plata. Thank you, Drew, man. I actually do think that we should do one in Mar del Plata sometime soon. It's underappreciated part of the world according to Fede, and I actually look forward to visiting hopefully next year as well. That's it for the call for today. I hope that was helpful for everyone to understand kind of where we're taking Hummingbot as an open source project and how we intend to kind of grow the community in the future. Thank you very much for joining the call today. Please try out this new kind of like V2 strategy market maker base class we have. We've actually had a few users who've been testing out already on Discord. There's actually this one here where I think a lot of you have already been providing feedback. And this is really helpful because there's actually probably a lot of design choices that we're making here, and I think the more that we can feedback on some of the design choices we're making from a strategy part, I think overall it's going to help us. Just to motivate you, some people have actually had a pretty decent performance. I think overall, I would say this pull request is kind of like it's very much under active development. As you can see, we think that this does mark a new direction for Hummingbot. And so the more of you that can test it and give us feedback, the better. All right, well, thanks everyone, and we'll talk to you next time.